So let's talk about what happened between America and Mexico in 1914. On April 9th, US sellers were selling around Mexico, and they were trying to collect gasoline. They were unarmed. They don't have any weapon on them or anything. So Mexican government at that time, Mexico was going through some sort of revolution. So Mexican forces arrested those navies. So now, US government is involved. So now, US confronted them to release the sellers. They said, okay, they will not. Later on, they released the US sellers. But for that to be complete, US government said they have to render a full apology to what happened and give those sellers 21 gun salute, which the Mexican forces refused to do. So guess what happened? US government went and occupied Veracruz, which is Mexican territory. On April 21st, US government went and occupied that. And the occupation was approved by Woodrow Wilson, because Woodrow Wilson actually got an approval from the Congress, to escalate the tension between US and Mexico. So US occupied Veracruz, but there's something around the reason why they occupied Veracruz, because Veracruz is where the military dictator or the Mexican government at that time bring in their shipments, military hardware to fight weapons. So it's kind of strategic for US government to do that. So they occupied the area from April 21st all the way to November 23rd. That hurt Mexicans government at that time, because that's one of the key assets for them to bring in their shipments, military shipments. So it continued. The back and forth conflict between US and Mexico were happening, and the kind of conflict that you were seeing at that time between them was more of a guerrilla street fighting, snipers, or it wasn't like I don't even call it a war. It was street fighting, like who's gonna do more damage, to each other, while the conflict is still, like not even not all at war. So now, while that is happening, the Mexican Revolution that was happening at that time was being affected because they don't have the tools to fight their war. Anti-American sentiment was high in Mexico at that time. So how did it end? How did the Tampico incident ended? Because it was in Tampico, Mexico, where this incident happened, but US government went and occupied Veracruz, Mexico. So from April 21st, when Woodrow Wilson actually approved US to escalate this issue, from April 21st to November 23rd, US was occupied Veracruz, Mexico. Guess the countries that came in to mediate that ended the conflict? It was Argentina, Brazil, and Chile. It's called ABC. So those three countries, Southern American countries, they are mediated between US and Mexico when it comes to this incident. And actually, it was successful. The mediation ended the conflict between US and Mexico. By November 23rd, everything was, everything ended. But it hurt the Mexican government at that time, Victorian Huerta or something. I hope I'm getting it right. He was the one that was in charge when all these things happened. Because of the fact that US occupied Veracruz, it hurt his campaign, and it truly gave the guy's opponents an edge to take over. But what ended up happening years afterwards was a lot of anti-American sentiment, because this kind of incidents tend to rile up nationalists, to beat their chest and all that stuff. So US technically messed the guy up, the Mexican government that was actually going toe to toe with America, and gave the Mexican leader opponent the edge to take over. So this incident happened in Tabuco, Mexico on April 9th, and US government listed things they have to get from Mexico for them to actually say, okay, all is forgiven, which include 21 gun salute, which Mexicans say no, and that's how everything went left. But shout out to America. America stood their ground, and then at the end of the day, they kind of got what they want. So yeah, this kind of reminds you that this is not the first time throughout history that US and Mexico have gone into war, gone into conflict, I mean to say, whether it's small or medium or large, but this one is one of them. So this happened is a little fact that some of you guys don't know. A lot of things happened in 1914, but this one is one of them that history doesn't even talk about. So I might be missing a little bit of things, but on this channel, when I talk about history, I try to talk about it from as simple as possible, so while I do that, I might omit one or two things, but all I'm telling you guys is true. You can go online and check it. It happened on April 9th, and then the incident itself happened on April 9th. Then by 21st of April, US and Mexico already have conflict because US occupied Veracruz. So, and it lasted from April, that's about 6 months. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Yeah, 7 months. So until November 23rd, when Argentina, Brazil, and Chile came in and said, okay, let's mediate. And the mediation was peaceful and successful. So yeah, that's another little history that happened in America in 1914. All right, see you guys on the next one.